Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and God have we got an action-packed show for you tonight. We've got Avram Glazer in London, staying at a hotel owned by QATAR. We've got Kim Min-jae, who has chosen to join Manchester United according to Italian reports. We've got Sabitzer out for the season. Is that his chances to join Manchester United completely gone? I think we probably need to say Beth has the jinx powers now, because she did a video last Thursday about whether he should stay or go, and she said go, he'll never play again. You've got to be careful about Beth's jinx powers, I think. We've also got stories on Casido, Rabiot, McAllister, loads and loads to get into on the show tonight. And I tell you what, it's great to actually be live with you for the first time today. Even though I did the video with Ben Foster, it wasn't live. This is. So, where shall we all start? John Smith says he loves the channel so much. Well, we love the community so much as well. Lots to get into. Like I say, we're a little bit early tonight because I am doing Liverpool versus Leicester on That's Football. You can join me for that. It's quite an important game really, because if Liverpool were to drop points, it could be great for our top four hopes, not title hopes. We're not gonna do that, of course. But look, David Raya as well, the goalkeeper, and Costa. We've got stories on those two as well. Really good video with Ben Foster at lunchtime. He didn't hold any punches on what he thought about the goalkeeper situation. It wasn't necessarily pro De Gea, so make sure you check that out if you haven't seen it. Former Man United goalkeeper, current Wrexham goalkeeper. Maybe a little bit longer current Wrexham goalkeeper, but we'll see. Anyway, if you know, you know. The reality is, I've played the game. The reality is that Manchester United are playing a game of football next weekend, but that's not what I want to talk about. We're going to start off with this picture of Avram Glazer coming out of a hotel in Mayfair, London, part of the Mayfair Group, which is owned by Sheikh Jassim Al Thani's father. So, Avram Glazer was at the Women's FA Cup game yesterday, which upset quite a lot of United fans, myself included. The Glazers held off on having a women's football team for many years. They finally relented, and then Avram Glazer, who really should be just packing his bags and jogging off, is turning up to cup finals now. Anyway, he was in London, and he's been pictured coming out of a Qatari-owned hotel in Mayfair. Now, is that game playing from Avram Glazer and the Glazers? Is that a link to the fact that we're about to get bought by QATAR? I have no answer. Kareem, welcome to the Members Club. I don't know what that means. But what I do know is he has come out of a hotel owned by QATAR in Mayfair, London. Spin, 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 says Melps. It could be. I mean, I'm not here to say anything about that. To me, this I would file this under you know, when a player that you want to sign for Man United likes an Instagram post about Manchester United, it's probably about as firm as that. It ain't that firm. But I'm sure if Sir Jim Radcliffe owned a hotel in London and Avram Glazer came out of it, people would be going, that's it, it's over, it's over, it's over. So, look, I agree with Jack Screen. It means nothing. I don't think it means nothing. I don't think it means nothing. I think it means, like Milan says, it could mean they're trolling us, and Ryan says it could mean there's been a meeting. I don't know why Avram would do the meeting when Joel Glazer's got the bigger share and the bigger say at Manchester United. So I don't know why that would happen. So my initial sense is that I don't think that makes a lot of difference in relation to the sale of Manchester United. But I would say I don't think it means nothing because, you know you're going to get pictured. There's plenty of hotels you can stay in. QATAR don't own every plush hotel in London. He could have stayed at a travel lodge. They don't own travel lodge. So, look, is it calculated? Probably. Does it mean anything? It could be. It could do. But I honestly don't have the answer. I really just don't have the answer to it. You could get excited about it and think it means that we're going to sell the club to QATAR. You could just think it's trolling. You could just think, he's booked a hotel there. Mark, no, reminds me of the John Obi Mikel holding the United shirt saga. It's like getting that PS5 size box for Christmas and it's socks, says Sumi. And hi, Mark, do you think Kim Min-jae is only an option if we get the Qataris, says Jared. Well, I want to move on to Kim Min-jae. So, maybe we can come back to the QATAR thing, but look, I wanted to mention it at the start because people would be going, what are you on about? So, look, I have said for a very long time, Al Thani's been trying to divide and conquer the Glazers, says Rory C. I've been saying for a very long time that I would love Manchester United to sign Kim Min-jae. fantastic centre-back of Napoli, right-footed. We need a right-sided, right-footed centre-back. I think Maguire needs to go this summer. I think this season under Ten Hag has proved that. He's not getting any younger. He's 30 years of age and he can't get anywhere near the first team. So Maguire needs to go. Whether he will go or not, I don't know. I think if Maguire goes, then we can probably buy a centre-back. If he decides he's not going to go, then it makes it difficult for United. Now, this story's coming out of Italy today, and there has been for the last few days, but today specifically, that Kim Min-jae has decided that he wants to leave Napoli and come to Manchester United. I have issues with this, and I'll tell you why. My main issue is this is a player I'd really like us to sign. So that's my main issue. I don't want to be played around with. The second issue I have is that Napoli are very hard to deal with, and his release clause doesn't come in until the start of July, of which is still 6 weeks away. So how could Manchester United, who don't have an owner, and we don't know how much their budget is, how can Manchester United sign a player 6 weeks before his release clause when we don't have any money and we don't know who our owner's going to be? I don't get the logic of the stories, and therefore, I'm just going to be a little bit reserved on this. I like the idea of it, and I can acknowledge the fact that the sources are reasonable from Italy in relation to Kim Min-jae. But what I cannot acknowledge is excitement around this deal, because it's a player I would really like us to sign, but I don't see why. I actually read some United fans on social media today going, "Oh, Man United are getting their deals done early," and I'm like, we literally can't do this deal early. We don't have the money to do this deal early, and Napoli will not do this deal early. There's no benefit for Napoli to do this deal early. So what might be happening here is, and I suspect this might be the case, is I suspect Napoli. Well, I know Napoli have been trying to get him to sign a new contract because they don't want the release clause. And I think that Kim Min-jae is probably, now that Napoli have won the league and they're not in the Champions League, I suspect Kim Min-jae's camp has let it be known to Napoli that they're looking to leave. And therefore, Napoli are looking to stir up a bit of interest. And what club gets mentioned the most? Manchester United. I would really like us to sign him. I really would. I think Beth messaged me today, or Adam messaged me today, one of the two, and they were like, they were doing some video for socials, and they were like, does Kim Min-jae replace Varane? No. I think people want to jump the gun a little bit and say, yes, Kim Min-jae replaces Varane in the team. He might well do that. That might be the plan. Maguire started ahead of Varane at the start of the season, but I think Rafa Varane's been immense for us this season. I think he's a fantastic centre-back. I still think he's one of the best centre-backs in the world. So I can't put Kim Min-jae in that team ahead of Rafael Varane when he's never kicked a ball in the Premier League. But what I do think it does is it provides massive competition at centre-back for Varane, who also isn't getting any younger and also has picked up a few injuries. So that's what I want to see at Man United. I'm sure Man City have this with Stones and Diaz and Akanji and Aki. It's competition for places, and that's what I want to see. Personally, I also think that Man City might enter this race, or Arsenal might enter this race. So I'm reserved in jumping on this and going, yes, we're going to sign Kim Min-jae, because it doesn't make a lot of sense at the moment. Hi, Mark. I did a shift today and there was still no sign of the soup, says Finley. Oh, my God. This is panicking me. I'm going to go down tomorrow. I couldn't see any last week. We've been having this chat for a while now, me and Finley, about my favourite soup at Sainsbury's, and we've not seen it in there for a while, so it's getting a bit of a worry. Let's have a look what you're saying about Kim Min-jae, though. Kim Min-jae is a commercial masterstroke for Manchester United. He's a fantastic player. And Kim is better than Timber, says Louise O'Donoghue. Well, you've got to bring him into that as well. And I think Mark hasn't seen much of Kim Min-jae, says Vegan is my religion. Yeah, you know what, mate? I think you're absolutely correct. I've been doing a fan channel for 7 years. We were basically at the forefront of covering transfers. I've been watching Italian football since I was about 9, and I've never watched Kim Min-jae play. I just think the name sounds great. I don't even know what position he plays, mate. I've never watched him play. I don't watch loads of other football. In fact, it will be an AI version of me at 8 o'clock tonight for the Leicester-Liverpool game, because I just don't watch much football. I don't. I make it all up. I just sit here. I don't even watch the Man United games. It's an AI. It's my twin. I don't watch football. Come at me with something else, mate, because I watch plenty of football, and I think a lot of people have seen Kim Min-jae play, and I think he would bring a lot to Manchester United. On a fair analysis point, there's always the concern of going from Serie A to Manchester United. I would acknowledge that, but this would be my choice at centre back. But it depends on how much. It depends on how much money we've got. I mean, he will cost 50 million quid. You want a striker for 100? That's 150 million quid. So yeah, but like, I like the player. I like the sound of Manchester United signing this player, but even I will concede that it's a little bit premature. You know, a bit like Arsenal's title celebration. See, I had to say that because I've defended Arsenal not bottling it, and people think that I've lost my edge on rivalry and banter. It's still there. I just don't talk nonsense. But the banter and rivalry is still there. It has to be there. It's what keeps us going. Hi, Mark. I'm the Wayne you spoke to on TalkSport on Saturday. Would it not be cheaper to buy a top left-back knowing you have Shaw to step in at centre-back if needed, says Wayne. Well, it was a fantastic call, Wayne, on Saturday. I love that. And I think for me, and I don't know what the chat thinks, so Wayne's saying, let's not buy a centre-back, let's get a left-back because it's cheaper and then you can move Luke Shaw across. The problem you've got, Wayne, there is Luke Shaw will play most of the season at left-back unless Martinez gets injured, and then Luke Shaw would move across. We need a right-sided centre-back because you can play Luke Shaw and Martinez as your left-sided cover, and then on the right-hand side, Lindelof and Varane. Is that enough? We might not buy a centre-back. Interestingly enough, though, £5 million a year is going to come back into Man United's pocket when Phil Jones and Axel Tuanzebe leave for wages. But it is an option. You could go for a left-sided centre-back. I really like Bella Kotchup at Southampton. Whether he's going to leave Southampton, surely he will. But I think that there's a massive amount of possibilities this summer in numerous positions, and most of our potential this summer is going to come from how much money we've got. If we were walking into this transfer window with QATAR in charge, I would be really excited. We're walking into this blindfolded. I don't know what the budget is. I don't know what we're looking at. And the sad thing is, I don't think Ten Hag does as well. Kim Min-jae is the new Savic saga, says Daniel. Well, yeah, look, I think you're absolutely right. I wouldn't say Italy is as bad as Portugal for fake news, but the Italian press has got worse in the last 6 years. It used to be reasonable. Now there's a lot of noise there. And we've been victim of that noise. Milinkovic-Savic was a target for Mourinho years ago, and yet every year he gets linked to us, and we're not interested. Any update on Harry Kane, says Vishal? I don't think we'll get any updates on Harry Kane until at least June, because they've got a big season ahead of them, haven't they? Talking about left-back, isn't Tellez coming back? No, he'll be gone. Rishab. Bailly and Tellez will be sold. There's no doubt about that. I've got loads to get through tonight. I've got 2 goalkeeper stories. I've got a few midfielders. I've got one on the Suez Canal. But I do just want to bring in here, I suppose it's the third story. We've spoken about Avram Glazer coming out of a Qatari-owned hotel in London. We've spoken about this Kim Min-jae story and given our opinion on it. But we've also got a story on Sabitzer, and it's a sad story about Sabitzer, and I want to do a poll on this. Ben says, off topic, if the Glazers keep 20%, what's their contribution to the stadium cost? Surely Jim isn't going to allow them to profit off his investment. Ben, I don't know. Lavia should be a realistic target for us, says Ab. I don't know, mate. I mean, Man City have got some option there. They let him go there. Should we keep Sabitzer is going to be the poll. Let me know your thoughts on that. Oh no, I don't want to do that. Yes, no. What have I done? What have I done? I've ruined it. Scary thoughts. Glazers have nearly 21% of the club. Sir Jim, nearly 49%. Approximately 30% on the New York Stock Exchange. The Glazers buy the remaining stock at less than Sir Jim paid, and they retain control of the club, says Brian Whitley. Thank you very much for your super chat, Brian. I've heard a few people say that, but I think it's a bit fanciful, though. Where are the Glazers going to get that money to do that, and why would they do that? Would you keep Sabitzer? Yes or no? I'm just putting up the poll there. So, ask your community. So Sabitzer has a knee injury. He will not play for Manchester United again this season. I am very sad about this because I feel that he's been I mean, look, 50. I would say that 50% of his season. I think I've got a bit of an update on that Avram Glazer thing as well. I'll talk to you about that in a minute. I think that Sabitzer has been a failure, if I'm being really honest. And it's sad because I really do like Sabitzer, but he's been injured too many times, and you can't give Bayern Munich 20-25 million for a player that we've had a big red flag. Like, we've had a really big red flag. He's been here since the end of January, February, March, April. 3.5 months, 3 injuries, keeping him out for more than 50% of the time. Forget the money. If he comes in next year and he keeps on picking these injuries up, you've had the warning. So I think United have got to swerve it. And it's a shame because he really likes Man United, and I think Ten Hag's been very, very happy with him. But I just don't think it... At 29 years of age, it's just not worked out. And we can't end up with another Donny van der Beek. So I think we've got to swerve it, sadly. And I hate saying no for injuries, but I'd be a hypocrite if I didn't say no, because I said don't get Cavani because of injuries, and I threw my toys out of the pram on that transfer deadline day. But I was like, how can you bring a player in that's that injury prone? And Cavani was a really good player, but he did get injured a lot. You couldn't count on him. So I just don't think that you can bring in players with injury records like that. It's not how you're never gonna close in on title races or the Champions League bringing in players like that. And also, what's his role in the team? We've never understood that. So there'd be 2 reasons for me why I'd swerve the Sabitzer deal now. 1, the amount of injuries, and 2, we never understood what his role was in the team. And that wasn't always his fault because it was chaotic. Casemiro was suspended, but what would his role be in the team? And when Eriksen, Bruno and Casemiro were back, he was on the bench anyway. So we don't need to buy bench players with a dodgy injury record when they were here. We don't. We need to buy players like Casido and Declan Rice and Frankie de Jong. I'm not saying I want those players, but you need to buy players that people go, woo, they're a starter. How's that going to work? I would rather... Look, at the end of the day, I don't want to buy a sticky toffee pudding or a banoffee pie. I want to buy, garlic mushrooms, prawn cocktail, a bit of pate with some French bread. I want a starter. I don't want a dessert. I would rather Gravenberch from Bayern or get Neves from Wolves. He can fill in for Casemiro, says Leo J. If you can get Rabiot for free, Sabitzer doesn't really make sense to me. I don't want either, but going to be tight budget this summer. So it terrifies me, Sean. It terrifies me. I want to talk about Rabiot, actually, because Fabrizio spoke about it. It terrifies me that we're going cheap again. You can't compete if you go cheap. Hi, Mark. If we got a few out the door, raising a few million, would Kane, Kim Min-jae, Rabiot on a free, Frimpong and Spitzer as a solid summer? No, Carl. I just don't think a solid summer is shopping in Poundland, really. I think if you want to compete with City, you got to shop at Harrods. You got to get the best. Hi, Mark. What would your thoughts be if Qatar bought the remaining shares? If Sir Jim is the preferred bidder instead of Glazers getting 20% and staying, says Ross. I don't think that would happen, Ross. Beth's stepbrother says, Glazers out. Also, why hasn't Beth come home? I miss her. Ben, I love the banter. Ben says, my problem is we won't sell in time and the Glazers know this. Also, usually Sky Sports or Fabrizio hasn't mentioned anything. I'd rather Victor over Kane because he would be 24, young, still, we need this, says Ben Leach. Yes, well, look, on Rabiot, so look, let's have a look at the poll. 62% of you would not keep Sabitzer. 38% of you would. I think that's really high. There's still a fair proportion of United fans who would keep Sabitzer, which I find very interesting. I like Sabitzer, but for me, this is a common sense approach. You can't buy a player that's 29, who's had loads of injuries, and you don't even know what his position is, and he's clearly going to be a bench player. I don't think you buy bench players. You can't be buying bench players. When you're trying to beat City, their bench players start for us. Mahrez, Foden, Calvin Phillips would probably start for us, to be honest. So yeah, you've got to go and buy better players, not bench players. Hi Mark, just wanted to know how your left foot is that good, says Smelly Cheese. Mate, if you haven't watched, I'm surprised no one's mentioned it until now. If you've not watched the goal of the season, which was in my back garden this afternoon. It's on my Instagram page and my Twitter. The Instagram one's the one to watch, at Goldbridge Mark. Or watch it on my TikTok. Got great commentary on that one. I can't describe how good the goal is. It's absolutely incredible. Look, yeah, I've said what I've said about Sabitzer. On Rabiot, Fabrizio Romano has said on Rabiot, Man United really wanted him last summer, but they couldn't agree terms. He's had a really good season for Juventus. And, Man United are monitoring the situation. My worry about Rabiot is, it's the Willian effect. Who remembers that season? I think it was the COVID summer when we came back. Willian, for the last few weeks of the season, I think he got Chelsea Champions League football and played like prime Messi for about 2 months in that summer. He was out of contract in the summer. He went to Arsenal, he scored on his debut, and then he was shit. But for the 2 months before his contract was up, he was playing like he was the best player in the league. I worry about Rabiot and the Willian effect, because I worry that what we might be seeing there is, and even Fabrizio admitted this, that Willian in the previous 2 years to this year with Juventus was not very good. But this year he's done really well and he played well in the World Cup. Well, is that a motivation because he's out of contract in the summer? I think Rabiot has a very dubious history around personality. Is that the sort of player you want to bring into the Manchester United dressing room? Well, if Ten Hag wants to do it, we must trust him on it. But we couldn't agree a deal with him last summer because his mum wanted ridiculous wages. What wage are we going to give to Rabiot to come to Manchester United? And again, we're only doing it because it's a free transfer. It worries me. My friends are really comparing this City team to 1999 United team and 2009 Barcelona team, says Mohammed. Mate, Sky Sports tonight are doing a combined 11 of the Man United treble side and this Man City side. It is appalling TV. Do it at the end of the season if Man City win a treble. Who compares a treble winning side to a team that's not won anything yet? And look, Man City might win something, but you don't compare one of the greatest sides ever with a team that's not won anything yet. It's crap TV. Is Rabiot really cheap? Yes, he will be free transfer, but we want wages and we want to start every game. I think I can see Rabiot. If we sign Rabiot, I'll say I hope it works out. I thought he played well in the World Cup, and I quite liked him a few years ago. I hope it works out, but if it goes wrong, we've only got ourselves to blame. Slim says, some of our fan base need to stop accepting mediocrity. We need winners. Osman over Kane, Rabiot over Sabitzer. There we go, Slim. Thank you very much. Just a little bit of an update. We started the show by saying that Avram Glazer had been pictured coming out of a Qatari-owned hotel in London, Mayfair. Ben Jacobs, who's been reporting on this story for a few months now, he's a journalist, has said that he understands that Avram Glazer being at Claridge's is a red herring. The important verbal back and forth between the 9-2 Foundation and Sir Jim Radcliffe is expected this week. Both parties will be talking to the Rain Group. Sir Jim is cautiously optimistic, but until a preferred bidder is named, and with neither group in an exclusive period, there is plenty of competitive tension. Radcliffe's latest contract with the Rain Group was over technical details surrounding his final offer. Rain were effectively asking questions, and that communication should not be misconstrued as negotiations as of now. That will obviously change if Ineos become the preferred bidder. So look, whether you want to listen to that or agree with that, it's still very much in the hands. Well, I'm trying to word this in a way. It's still very much considered that Sir Jim is confident. One other story. I've told you this. I told you this 2 months ago. I keep telling you this. Chelsea, Osman. There's a bit of a story coming out about Chelsea and Osman. I think it's coming from Jacob Steenberg, who writes for The Guardian. I heard that about 6 weeks ago that Chelsea would go hard for Osman. And if they do, we won't get Osman. We'll end up with Harry Kane. Who gets the better deal? Again, you've got to go and get the best. You've got to go and get the best. It's as simple as that. And a few other stories, just on the goalkeeper situation. I'm going to end the poll now. It's about 62% going with removing Sabitzer and 38% going with keeping him. Interesting story on David Raya. Brentford are looking for a replacement goalkeeper already. David Raya is expected to leave Brentford this summer. Also stories that Manchester United have been scouting Costa from Porto and have done it quite extensively. It's all if, buts and maybe. I think with the goalkeeper situation, as I've said, if you're going to replace David De Gea, you have to go and... Well, I've just spent 20 minutes talking about it in various ways. If you want to beat the best, you've got to buy the best. So if you want to replace David De Gea, you don't do it with Dean Henderson. You've got to go and buy a fantastic goalkeeper. Now, where are Man United getting the money from? For a £60 million goalkeeper, Kim Min-jae, Casido, Harry Kane, where's all this money coming from? We don't know, do we? So I think United at the moment are probably like an indecisive juggler. We're throwing a lot of balls in the air, got no idea what we're going to catch. So, yeah, look, I think people home in on a story and go, that's the transfer I want to happen. We've seen it with Kim Min-jae today. We saw it with Rabiot yesterday. We'll see it with goalkeepers. But I personally... whether I want it to happen or not, and I think both goalkeepers are very interesting. I'm quite confident that we will not get Costa and we will not get David Raya. I don't think we're going to have that amount, and I think it will be a financial thing. I think if Erik ten Hag thought he could get them, he'd probably go for them, but I don't think he's going to have the money. Given they are both out of contract, could you make a poll for Rabiot versus Tielemans, says Mike Thomas? I could do. And my dad has just come back from Napoli, and all the locals have spoken to are adamant that Kim Min-jae wants to come to United this summer, says Joe. And Sean Turner says, we need to look to ship Sancho out this summer and go and get Mbeumo from Brentford. Anana if Everton go down. Hope our scouts are being active as we need to be doing smart deals, says Sean Turner. The problem is, Sean, and I don't disagree with some of the stuff you've said there. The problem you've got is that you can scout really, really well. And I'm not saying that Man United have got good scouts. You can scout really, really well. But if you haven't got the money and you don't know who owns you, then other clubs can just move in ahead of you. It's not just about not knowing who our owners are. It's also not knowing altogether. So that if you are interested in signing, let's say, Kim Min-jae, and Man United express an interest but go, we don't know what our situation is, and then Man City or Arsenal walk in and go, we know our situation, we want to win the title next year, there's the money, do you want to come? United are going to miss out. So that's the concern, I think. I think you've got to look at it like that and go, well, you know what, I'm just not confident about any story at the moment, because I don't think Erik ten Hag doesn't portray any confidence on being assured of what's going to happen either. How are people voting Tielemans over Rabiot? Because they are. I don't know whether anybody saw what De Zerbi had to say, the Brighton manager, but he basically has said that they might lose McAllister and they might lose Casido this summer. I mean, you talk about being ready. The Athletic have mentioned that Alexi McAllister would be interested in joining Manchester United or Liverpool, but he wants Champions League football. I purposely wanted to bring that into the show tonight, because I think that really demonstrates where we are as a football club right now. We're in this, alleyway of uncertainty. We don't know what we're doing. Finley Hargreaves, welcome to the Members Club. We don't know what we're doing, and I suppose that is a fair sentence that sort of summarises the Glazer ownership in general. We don't know what we're doing, and yet here we are at the end of what I think has been a very successful season for Manchester United. I mean, it could be a very, very successful season tonight if Leicester stop Liverpool winning, but we don't know what we're doing. On all this success we've built this year, and I think it's foundation success. I don't think it's, high level success where we want to be, but it's definitely foundations from where we were a year ago. You've got a manager at the second best footballing team in the league, Brighton, saying that two of his best midfielders are effectively probably up for sale this summer, Caicedo and McAllister, and United will probably get neither. And yet we need a midfielder. And then you go, well, why won't United get me? And I know the sad thing is our fan base will accept it because they're used to it. But why will Man United not get Caicedo or McAllister when we need a midfielder? Well, because we can't afford it, or we're not ready, or somebody else is better than us in the transfer window. You know, Alexis McAllister could go to Liverpool and Caicedo could go to Arsenal. You know, they'll stay in the Premier League and benefit and strengthen our rivals, and yet we could do with either of those players. I'd love to sign both. I don't think that would happen, but I don't think we'll sign either. And you've got De Zerbi basically saying they probably will go if the right offers come in. And we're just so hamstrung. Like, there's so many good options this summer. I think we should be arguing about what centre back we want, what midfielder we want, what striker we want. But harsh reality is we don't even know what budget we've got. We should go for Kim Min-jae, Koku, Caicedo, Kane or Vlahovic, and we are good. Rabiot on a free is a good option. Best Juve player so far. Regular for France. Brings physicality and quality in the middle, says Alden. Look, there's no doubt. There is no doubt that... I'm going to have to block you, Lewis, because you just keep putting the same thing in that we spoke about 5 minutes ago. So, you know, it's just a bit boring seeing the same chat when I want to interact with people. Rashid, welcome to the Members Club. There's no doubt that Rabiot is a good player. And I would argue that with everybody. He's a good player. I would just have a few red flags about, one, his motivation to play well this last year when he knows he's out of contract and he hadn't played well for the previous 2 years. Two, he didn't come to us in the summer because of ridiculous wage demands and they're going to be bigger than what they are. And three, nobody can escape or tell me that he's not a bit of a loose cannon. He's always been that. Is that the type of player you want to bring to Manchester United? If Erik ten Hag wants him, go and get him. Do I think he's the right player? I have my reservations. Is Erik ten Hag an invincible? You know, he doesn't make bad decisions? Of course he's not. Everyone makes bad decisions. And to be honest, he's a bad apple, says David. My big concern with Ten Hag is that I've always said, whether you're Jose Mourinho or Pep Guardiola, if you have a 70% success rate with transfers, you're doing really well. You go through any manager in history, if you can be asked, do it with Sir Alex, do it with Ancelotti, do it with Pep, do it with Jose. Take all of their transfers, mark them out of 10, and I guarantee at least 30% of them will be average or below. Because it's impossible. You know, Pep's had a few clangers, Sir Alex had a few, Ancelotti's had a few. So the problem with Ten Hag is we need him to keep hitting 100%. Now I think Anthony is going to be a success. I think Martinez has been a rip-roaring success. Casemiro's been unbelievable. I think Malacia, for the price and what we bought him for, has grown. And Eriksen's been a success. So all 5 of his signings, you could argue, are either on their way to being good or have been good. So his success rate with transfers is very, very high. At some point, it's logical he's going to make a couple of mistakes. And you can't include Weghorst because that's a loan deal. We're not having that. So at some point, Ten Hag is only human. By the law of history, you cannot keep a 90 or even 80% success rate with transfers. And at the moment, he pretty much has. So he's going to drop a few clangers. You know, he's going to buy players that don't work out. And we can't afford that. We can't afford that. But it will happen. So my concern is, let's try and make sure every signing we make is absolutely got no, you know, as little risk as possible. And I think there's a lot of risk with Rabiot. But I could be completely wrong. He could come into the club. He could be brilliant. And, you know, we certainly back him. And as Charlie says, you've got to trust Ten Hag. And I agree with that. But, yeah, it's... I think Rabiot worries people because he's a player that represents another free transfer. I'd definitely go for Rice. Gives the midfield more physicality in the away games that we've missed this season. Keep up the great work, Mark, says John. Well, I'll give you a couple of Goldbridge insider tips here. I'm not saying go and bet on it. I don't believe in that. But thoughts on Kessie from Barcelona, says Caleb. We've never been linked with him for years. Mark, what was that filth earlier? Top bins, says James. check it out at Goldbridge Mark on Instagram. I just a standard. I've just started filming myself in the garden, doing some of my little routines, and top bins. I completely forgot what I was going to say now. Jonathan Lewis, thank you very much for joining the members club. But yeah, look, you've got to you've got to be in it to win it, and United definitely do need to do that. Declan Rice, I was going to give you 2 hot takes, wasn't I, John? Thank you very much for the reminder on your members chat there. 2 hot takes for you on signings this summer. Unfortunately for you, I can't give you a hot take on Manchester United, but both players in one way or another sort of do reflect on Manchester United. Declan Rice to Arsenal. There's a lot of rumours that deal is effectively done. So, take it or leave it what you think about that, but that is effectively done, apparently. No, I'll probably just let that out of the bag. There's very strong rumours out there that Declan Rice is going to go to Arsenal, and that's where he wants to go, and it could be announced very, very, very soon. So keep your eyes on that. I don't personally want Declan Rice to come to Manchester United, not because I don't like him, I just don't like the price. We need to get quality and quantity, which is a very difficult thing to do when you're on a slim transfer budget. So Declan Rice to Arsenal, that's where I think he's going to go based on what I've been told. And Osimhen to Chelsea. And I've said that to you for about 2 months now. Osimhen to Chelsea. Unfortunately, I get much better info in relation to Chelsea than United. And I think that's because United's chaotic. I don't think it's because you can't get good information out of United. We've known a few things over the years, but Chelsea's a better organised football club. Chelsea are going to go hard for Osimhen. I think Pochettino would like Kane, but they don't think they can. What I was told is Pochettino would love Kane, but Chelsea know that it would be ridiculously hard to get him out of Spurs and would probably take all summer. Whereas Osimhen, Napoli, if you go in hard, they'll do a deal. So that's what I've been told, is that Chelsea, Osimhen is what they're going to go hard for. So yeah, that's disappointing, as I say, but I think you've always got to take into account that a lot of fans are spending time going, I want QATAR, I want Sajim, I want QATAR, I want Sajim. And when it comes to transfers, maybe one of the biggest things people are missing is whether you want Sajim or you want Al-Thani, neither of those owners are going to be in time to change what we've done for the last few years. Richard Arnold, John Murtagh and their team are going to be doing the transfers. Whoever's in charge this summer, the new owner will not be able to change it. They don't, Sir Jim Ratcliffe doesn't even know if he's got the club yet. So he can't have Paul Mitchell in. As much as he might bring Paul Mitchell in, he can't bring Paul Mitchell in to help this summer out. And Paul Mitchell would say, what do you want me to do? It's for the middle of May. I start looking at summer transfers in November. So, yeah, we've got a big problem this summer because we're going to have to use the normal transfer team who, reputation-wise, aren't very, very good. And remember, last summer transfer window, they were bringing in a transfer lawyer, Michael Keane's brother, in June because it was all going wrong. So don't tell me for 1 minute that we have, regardless of ownership, don't tell me for 1 minute that we're not going to be using the same transfer recruiters who would have next to no chance of going head-to-head against any decent club and winning. So if we've got to go head-to-head for Kim Min-jae, I would panic. If we were even trying to go head-to-head with Chelsea for Osimhen, I would panic. We will go for tap-ins. We will go for Harry Kane because no one else can buy him, and we'll take all summer on it. We'll probably go for some free transfers as well. Unless we get a significant amount of money coming in from the new owner. Yeah. Mark, you talk about Hound. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, thank you for your irrelevant chat. I don't know who you are, and I don't need to read it. Last summer too, we were linked to Rabiot. Do you think maybe Erik ten Hag actually likes him and wants him? What do you think Erik ten Hag sees in him? Says Shantana. I don't know. Look, if Erik ten Hag likes Rabiot, you should buy Rabiot. I'll always back that you should back your manager. But Is he buying Rabiot because he's a free transfer? Is he buying Rabiot because it's the midfielder he wants? I think if he was offered Casido or someone like that, he'd get him. I think it's because it's a free transfer. Hound was angry because I was told that Bellingham was going to Liverpool, but so was everybody for about 8 months because Liverpool were working on it and then they pulled out in April. Last summer, too, we were linked to Rabiot. Do you think maybe Erik Ten Hag actually likes him and wants him? I've done that one. If QATAR is on the way, I don't see why we can't buy the players we want and just bake it into the sale price, says United Av. Well, I don't think QATAR is on the way. One thing I don't understand, if Sir Jim Radcliffe buys only 50% of the club, why the hell Joel and Avram doesn't want some control if they stay next year 100%, says Daniel. Well, effectively, people are making up what they want to make up because they want Sir Jim. But Sir Jim Radcliffe has not disclosed to anybody what his plan is. People are just making it up that he will remove the Glazers, and yet the Glazers own the club. So, yeah, I think it's a fair point that there is no guarantee at all what's going to happen. Please smash a like on the video and subscribe, by the way. I feel like, you know, it's probably a little bit later than normal. I think if we did have the stability of an owner, there'd be a lot more transfer stuff going on about Manchester United because it's a big summer and Man United's always a big club in the transfer window, whether we're good at it or not. I think that today felt like the first day in a while where the transfer stuff was starting to kick in. We should know who the targets are, by the way. If you think back to last summer, because I was listening today, Pochettino is going to get to work straight away, but he won't take over the club until August. But he's going to get to work straight away on his transfer targets. And I thought, oh, that's early. And then I thought, well, no, it's the middle of May. Erik Ten Hag, this time last year, he won the title with Ajax and he started the next day, didn't he? So it's not too early. And it was around this time last year that we knew we wanted Frankie de Jong. We knew we wanted Nunez. It was around this time that we knew we wanted Timber. And I think Anthony got mentioned on, was it June? I did a video about Brazilian reports around June the 8th, I think. And then 3 days later, it hit the main press. So we're sort of in that area where, regardless of when we buy them, because we didn't buy Anthony until the end of August, but we knew we liked him at the start of June. We are in that area now where we should be starting to get leaks about the players we want. But even with this Kim Min-jae story today, I'm like, oh, I don't really believe it. I think it's just paper talk. But then when you think about it, you go, well, any other summer, this is about the time it does start to come out. But we're so uncertain about this sale. It's impacting our summer transfer window. And I tell you what, you talk about Chelsea, exactly the same thing happened to Chelsea last year. They couldn't really get into a transfer window until the summer, until the start of July, when the deal had gone through for Todd Boehly. So, yeah, I'd love Casido, Joe. Somebody just said, who would you take? I would love Casido at Manchester United. Frankie de Jong would be my number one choice, but I don't think Barcelona are going to sell him. But obviously, there's an obsession from Erik Ten Hag there. Casido would be fantastic. I like Alexi McAllister. They've got nothing against Declan Rice, but he's overpriced, and I think he's going to go to Arsenal. Osman would be my striker. I think he will go to Chelsea or PSG. And I think we'll get Harry Kane. I can see a summer where Man United get Harry Kane, Rabiot, and Timber or Kim Min-jae, and that's it. And whilst Harry Kane will bring a lot of goals to the team, I don't think that's a huge enough improvement, do you? Timber or Kim Min-jae, Rabiot and Kane. That's not going to be good enough when you look what Arsenal do this summer. Arsenal will look what Chelsea are going to do this summer. I don't think Harry Kane, Rabiot and Kim Min-jae is a good enough summer. But I think that's a Sir Jim and Glazer summer. I do. And if I was Al Thani, even if I walked into the club and said there's 200 million, you've still got Murta and co doing the business. I think it might be let's hope we get a surprise, but I think it's going to be a difficult summer transfer window for Manchester United. And on top of that, you've got to remove players as well. Are we going to end up keeping Scott McTominay, Harry Maguire, Fred and everybody else because we're waiting for a sale to go through, and ultimately you can't sign that off until the new owner's in? Mark, I'd love Barella from Inter. Thoughts? Says James. Barella would be a very good signing, but he's a very, very expensive signing. And I like Lavia as well, Young, Nolan, I do. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, look, I've got to get on to That's Football. I've got my screen on here. I just need to move over. So I will see you over there in a couple of minutes. We can continue the chat there. Leicester against Liverpool. This is a massive game tonight because it's got huge connotations for Manchester United. If Leicester can take a point off Liverpool, they can only get 69 points. If Leicester can beat Liverpool, they can only get 68 points. We're on 66. If Liverpool draw with Leicester tonight, we need 1 win from the next 3 games. If Liverpool beat Leicester, we still need to get 2 wins from the last 2 games. So it's a massive game. I'll see you over there. I'll be there in a couple of minutes. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash the like and subscribe.